Good evening. Good evening. This is my first time on YouTube, so I'm super nervous, but I don't know why, but I am super nervous about being here, but so excited about being here. I wanted to come on and introduce myself, give a little background about what I do, what I talk about, what I'm here to do to help others. My name is Tina. I am 54 years old. I just had a birthday a couple weeks ago, 54 years old, and 8 months ago, I was 8 short months ago, and I'll tell you why I say short months ago. 8 short months ago, I was diagnosed as a severe type 2 diabetic. And the reason why it was severe is that my A1C was double what it's supposed to be, right? Your A1C, a normal A1C is 5.7 and below. I was an 11.5. I was double what it's supposed to be, right? So, that's pretty bad. I'm not 20, right? So I'm a little bit older. So a lot of things can happen when you don't get your insulin under control. So what had happened was I went to the doctors just for a regular physical, nothing exciting. It was just a physical to kind of go over my, my yearly stuff, right? So I went into the doctors. I did the blood work before. And when I got into the doctor, she had went over it, right? She pulled it up on the board and I could see that I was really unwell, right? And so everything was in the red. There really wasn't much that was green. So in the red showed, my A1C was bad, my triglycerides were bad, my cholesterol was bad. I don't remember the iron one, but for the most part, everything was bad. So it's not funny, but it was, now it is because things are different. But anyway, so I went to the doctors and I had the blood work done. And my doctor had said to me she was going to call in my prescription. She was going to call in my prescription of 2 pills a day and a shot. That's what I was going to have to take to, to get this under control, right? And really wasn't too sure what I wanted to do, and I was like, well, all right, I'll look into it, right? I think that's what I told her. I'll look into it, and she said, well, let me tell you something. If you don't do this, if you don't go pick up this medication, you're gonna lose your eyesight, you're gonna lose your organs will shut down, you're gonna go blind, you're gonna lose your fingers and your toes, you'll forget your kids, all these things that she had said. She went right for the hard stuff, which I really can't blame her because that's what she's supposed to do. She's a doctor. She's supposed to give you that information, right? So, I understand why she was doing it, but, and so I said, well, I'm just still not sure how I want to handle it yet. So then she said, well, what you do is you said you pick up the medication and then you come back in. I'm trying to find a way to get these dots out of my eyes. I don't know how to do it so that you don't have to look at the rings in my eyes. I'm not sure how to do that. Anyway, so she said if you don't do it, this is what's going to happen. You're going to go blind. You're going to lose your organs and your memory, because I know that type 3 diabetes is Alzheimer's and dementia. So, I knew that. And so and then she said, well, when come back in 3 months. So this was June of last year. So June of last year, I went to the doctors and had this test taken. I had every year you go, you get your blood work taken, right? So I went in and went through my results for my physical. So that was June of last year. So she said, come back in 3 months, which would have been October, and we'll double it for you. We'll up it for you. I think she said, we'll up it for you. And I was like, I really didn't want to do it. At that point, I really didn't want to, I wonder what all these things are here. Retouch on. Oh, this is neat. Okay, sorry. I've never done this. I see all these little buttons here. A green screen. Oh, I don't want that. How do I turn that off? No green screen. Okay. Light on. Okay, so sorry about that. So, I really didn't want to do that. I really didn't want to take the medication. So I went home and I was a little defeated. I was a little upset that I had done this to myself. And I'm not surprised. I had some symptoms, right? And so when it comes to diabetes, right? So when I left the office, I knew I was a type 2 diabetic with severe A1C, overweight, all these things, and I was at the brink of possibly losing my eyesight, according to my doctor. My eyesight, everything was going to go wrong, right? And I was a little bit surprised because I really wasn't sick. I didn't feel sick. I had symptoms, but I thought that was just getting older. So that's how I pushed them off, as I'm just getting older, right? So I did have these symptoms. I did have, so I'll go through the symptoms of what it means when you're a diabetic, the symptoms that you have. And it's, so I didn't have the conversation with my doctor, but because it was never brought up. So when you're a diabetic, your body gives off symptoms for at least 10 years, not just diabetes, right? Other things too, but erectile dysfunction, PCOS, there's neuropathy, there's a bunch of different things that happen if you don't get your insulin resistance under control. So the root problem, right? So the medication, the shot and the pills that she was gonna call in for me, yes, would have helped me lower um my my A1C a little bit by like 2%, I think it was. But it doesn't get to the root problem. It kind of masks it, right? So I was afraid of it. I didn't want to start it. I didn't want to start on the wheel of pills or of medication, because you get one medication and if it doesn't work, they up it. Like I told you, she was already going to double it or whatever, up it for me when I got back. Or if that didn't work, if I got a side effect from it, they was going to get another pill, another pill, another pill. I didn't want any of that. So I didn't know much about it, but I did know that insulin resistance, diabetes is from eating. So I knew that I ate my way there. I knew it was my fault why I had this diabetes to start with. And I knew that. And I knew that if I did it to myself to get there, maybe I can do something about it, right? So I went home, sat on my chair, and I was flipping through like social media, and I came across a woman named Yvette Oxford. And so she was talking about me. I swear she was. She had said, if you have these things, right? If you have belly fat, brain fog, she listed a bunch of things. And like I said, there's a page and a half of symptoms that your body will give you if you do have insulin resistance, which can lead to worse things. If you have insulin resistance, which 93% of America is, 20% of our kids, 30% of our kids are insulin resistance. And so if you don't get it under control, and, if you're lucky enough and you're younger or you're not at the point that I was, I hope you can hear this. I hope you can listen up because I want you to get it under control so that you don't have to go through what I do, which I'm fine now. Back in June of last year. But here are some of the things that can happen to you, right? These are your signs. These are signs that your body will give you. I made a lot of excuses for the ones that I had, but I do want to go through them with you, right? So hard time losing weight, tired by two, when you're at work and you're at your desk and you're tired, you have lack of energy, you're bloating, inflammation. I had a lot of soreness in my body. I didn't like that. Brain fog, which was terrible. Body aches, right? Belly fat, cravings, acid reflux. I had terrible acid reflux. I didn't like that at all. Body fat, like I told you, migraines, PCOS. For men, ED, erectile dysfunction for men, eczema on my hands. I had that, skin tags, the little skin tags you see on the neck, and the discoloration, the pigmentation on your neck. So there's tingling your hands and your feet. So the one thing that I was very positive about is that I thought I had neuropathy. I was sure I had neuropathy because I could feel it in my fingers and my toes. When your fingers and toes have like that tingling, that hurt feeling, it's most case neuropathy or damage to your nerves in your fingers and your toes. So it's neuropathy. So I knew I had that, and I really wanted to. I really was worried about that. So I wasn't stupid that there was a problem. I just didn't think I was sick enough to be going blind, losing my limbs, losing my eyesight. Losing these things that she had listed. Whatever. So IBS was one that was completely horrible for me. I had that, and it ran my life. It ran my life big time. I had to worry about when I went to the store, when I went somewhere, because it really was a terrible thing, right? So, but I'm grateful that that's gone. So all of these things plus others are things that I was going through in June of last year, right? So I had all these symptoms. I went to the doctor. We do the blood work, and my doctor says, yes, you are now your A1C is 11.5. You're a type 2 diabetic. Every year when I went, she said, it's creeping up, it's creeping up, it's creeping up. You need to eat more, eat 6 small meals to raise your metabolism, eat less, exercise more. There was all these things, but never was the conversation of insulin resistance come up. Never do we talk about metabolic health. Maybe it's because you only have 5 minutes with your doctor when she comes in. I don't really know. Maybe she, whatever it is, she never talked about it with me. She never said, your insulin resistance, let's figure out what you're eating, when you're eating, how you're eating, are you exercising, are you using your muscles? We never talked about any of that. All she said was, well, she did say you have to eat 6 small meals a day, and that's what I did. I ate 6 small meals a day. I had breakfast snack, lunch snack, dinner snack, right? So I was eating constantly. I have a very sedentary job. I work from home. I said we work behind my desk, and I don't burn the calories that I take in. I take in a lot of calories, unfortunately. I take, well, I was taking a lot of calories, eating 6 small meals, very carb heavy. I would have my carbs, all day long. I start with oatmeal, a banana, bagel, cereal, whatever it might be. But it was very carb heavy. I felt like if it was a small meal, 6 small meals, I thought it was going to help, but it wasn't. It was very carb heavy. So it would just sit. So what happens is I've since learned that when you take in those carbs, right, you take in your carbs or your glucose, your sugar, whatever you eat, it goes into your stomach and your body breaks it down and it ships it out, ships it to the liver. And the liver is supposed to take it and break it down and send it out where it has to go. My liver, because I ate so much, was full of glucose. It couldn't take anymore. The hotel was closed. Hotel glucose was closed, right? So it would have to ship it off, right? So when that happened, my body needed the insulin to move it. So my body would produce the insulin to come get that glucose and bring it someplace. It's supposed to bring it to my cells, but my cells were covered in sugar. My blood was very thick. This is last year, very thick. So my cells were covered in this sugar and this glucose. So when the insulin would grab it, it would put it in. It wasn't taking it for energy. The glucose, the sugar around my cells was too hard or it was too much so that the insulin couldn't bring the new glucose in. So my cells became insulin resistant. It was resistant to the insulin. So now I have this glucose that my insulin has to figure out what to do with. Didn't do anything with it. So my body will produce more insulin, right? So now I've got this insulin all freaking out, trying to figure out what to do with it. Now it's going to bring it places, right? So it would bring to your brain dementia, your eyes, all those black floaty things, blindness, right? It would bring it to my organs, the visceral, the hard belly fat that you see when people have hard stomachs, the dad bods or whatever, even women, I had it, the hard stomach. That's where that goes. It has to go somewhere, right? It's not going to ship it out. I'm sitting at my desk. I'm not burning the energy like I should. So my muscles aren't taking the glucose, because when you work out and do your muscle training, it's so important. Your body will take that glucose, and the muscles will grab it and use it to work out. So I wasn't doing that. I wasn't working out. I was eating too much. I was insulin resistant. My cells were like, there's no more room for them here. I don't want it. You're giving me too much sugar. My liver is packed. There's nowhere to go. It's putting it around my organs. It's putting it in my face, on my eyes. I had those black dots. Wringing my fingers because of burning my nerves. My nerves were getting destroyed from it. And in your brain, so that's what the brain fog comes from, right? And the PCOS that women have, they have a hard time having babies, right? Because of that erectile dysfunction. It is so mind-blowing what that circle of, we call it the circle of despair, I think we call it, right? So there is a circle that I can show you on here. And I want to show you what I used to look like, because I want to show you what I looked like. Okay, so here's the circle of despair, right? So insulin resistance. Now, if I can learn how to put things up here, I will, but I don't know right now. So insulin resistance is the center of it, right? So these are all the things that you can get from insulin resistance if you don't take it under control. Here are some signs. Type 2, which was me, right? You can get a stroke, heart disease, obesity, which I was very overweight, migraines, dementia, osteoarthritis, child obesity, which is sad, PCOS for women, and I know I had it, but my other doctor didn't talk about, insulin resistance. So I had a hysterectomy. That was the only solution, which wasn't the only solution. I could have gotten this under control and I wouldn't have had to have that, but I don't want it back. So it's fine. Fatty liver, arthritis, Alzheimer's, because it's in your brain, right? Erectile dysfunction in the men, because it's too much sugar. It's ruining the blood flow. High blood pressure, so these are just some of the things that can happen if you don't get this center part, the root cause better, right? So that was the one thing that I learned quickly, that I needed to get that insulin resistance under control. And so there were a couple things that I was told I had to do to get it under control. And let me tell you, they were very simple. They were simple things. They weren't hard things to do. They were very simple things to do. Okay, so the things that I did, there were 3 things that I did. The first thing I started doing was exercising. Now, this was June, So it was nice out, right? So I could walk. I started walking. I live in a great area to go for a nice walk, some neighborhoods and stuff like that. So I started walking. Unfortunately, I could only do like 5, 10, 15. I worked my way up because I was so out of shape. I was so not in the right position. I was not in shape, but I didn't give up. I did it every single day. I pushed myself some more. I pushed myself some more. And before I knew it, I started feeling better and I started being able to walk further. Then I added a 20-pound weight vest. So I wear a 20-pound weight vest now when I go to the gym and when I exercise. It feels so great. It's so great for my core. I really love it. And plus it has a cool pocket so I can put my keys and my stuff in it, my phone in it. That might be the true reason why I love it, but I do love it. So I was walking, and I loved it, loved it. And as the weather turned, because I live in Massachusetts, so the weather turned, we do have a beautiful gym over the hill. So I go to the gym now. So I take that energy, that exercise that I used to do outside walking, which I look forward to doing that again when it happens, but I moved it over to the gym. So at the gym, I was doing the same thing. I was doing cardio, and a little bit of weights. I've since learned I needed to flip that. I needed to flip that because muscle training is what is going to help with your body. Muscle training, muscles need glucose to work out, right? So, and Lord knows I had plenty of it. I had plenty to go around. So I'm flipping it and I'm doing just a little bit of cardio and mainly weight training, right? So that is the blessing of it. Let me see if I can. All right, so I don't know if you can hear me. I hope so. Anyways, so that was the other part of it, right? So I have the weight training. So I get the glucose goes into my muscles, and I work out, and I feel really great. And so that's one thing I really like to do. Okay, so that's the first thing I did. The second thing that I did was time restricted eating. I'm fasting, so I didn't fast all the way. I didn't fast. Now I do 16 and 8, but I started off at like 10 hours. I would fast, right, and then 11 hours. I'd work my way up. So I'm up to 16, but I've been pushing it a little bit more. I want to do 17 hours, 18 hours. In that time, when I'm not eating, most of it I'm asleep, right? Because I stop eating at dinner time and then I wait until the next day. The next day at noontime is when I am eating, but I'm starting to push it. Like today I ate at 1 o'clock. So I'm trying to push it even further because I do know that in that time frame when I am not eating, my stomach is having my biomes are happy. All my cells are cleaning out. My glucose is coming down, staying down. My body is using that glucose that I had stored on my organs, in my brain, in my eyes, and they're using that for the energy because I'm not putting food in right at that point, right? So it's been a few hours, so I'm put most of it. I'm asleep, right? So if I sleep for most of it, the 7, 8 hours, and then I get up in the morning at 4 o'clock. And this is the part that's amazing to me. I never would have thought this is something I would be doing. I will head to the gym, right? I get dressed, I go to the gym, I work out. I do quite a bit, right? I do cardio, I do weightlifting, blah blah blah, whatever I happen to do at the gym. And then I come home, I take a shower, I get dressed, I go to work, I do laundry, all before I eat. I never would have thought that because prior I was 6 small meals. I thought as soon as you get up, you had to eat snack. I thought that's what it was. But now I wait until like noontime, 1 o'clock. So, okay, so that's number 2. And I'm going to tell you how I do that. I'm going to tell you how I do that. I'm not that great with willpower. Like it's not all willpower at all. Determination, yes, but willpower, no. I can fall off of that. But there is a system that I use to fix that, and I'm going to go through that. So I started with the exercising, which is, getting my workout in every day if I can. Sometimes I take a day off, but for the most part, I love it and I look forward to it. I know it's burning that glucose I have stored. So I did that, and then I did the fasting, the TRE, time restricted eating, fasting, whatever you want to call it. I did that. And then the third thing I did is the Feel Great system. So I don't know if you've heard of it, and if you haven't heard of it, this is why I'm on here to show you. And it's a very simple two sachets, they call them, 2 little packets. One is a tea, and I'll go over that. It's a Unamate tea. This is what I drink, right? So I start in the morning and I mix my drink, right? I mix it in this bottle. So it's about 17 ounces, 17, 24 ounces. I mix my tea in it, shake it up. And this tea that is my key, my crutch, my best friend, my partner in crime, whatever you want to say, because it has helped me. It keeps my brain fog down, right? It keeps my hunger down, food noise. You know, when you're hungry, the food, ugh, ugh, I need to eat, need to eat, need to eat. So your body is running to fast food, or it's getting just whatever it can find because you're hungry, right? So, but this tea keeps that away. I don't have that. So I can wait until noontime or a little bit after to eat, 1 o'clock to eat, because I have this. I am going to be honest with you. I do realize the reason why I was able to do that was because of my tea. I couldn't have done that without it, right? Because again, I was a huge eater, eating all the time. So to stop was a little bit scary. So this tea was my lifesaver, right? So this is the third thing I've done, right? So I've done the exercising, the time restricted eating, and the feel great system, which is the tea here, which is my yerba mate tea that I drink twice a day. I have one in the morning, and so by the time I get close to the end of it, I know it's getting close to lunchtime, right? Because I sip on it during the day. I'm getting close to lunchtime, so that's kind of my key to like when I'm getting ready for it. So before I eat my meals, and so where I've shrunk my window of eating from, it was 16 hours, so 17 hours, whatever. So say 1 o'clock to 6 o'clock, I can eat 1 to 7, whatever it happens to be. I only eat 2 meals a day. That's the key. That's the key part of it. Because I don't eat, no snacking. I don't need to snack because there's no such thing as a healthy snack, because it's either fruit, which is extra sugar, or it's, I'm sure there is, but nothing that I need, because I need to have focus on protein. Because if I eat my protein first and my vegetable first, the carbs they aren't going to shoot off into my bloodstream like they would if I didn't have them, right? So if I didn't have the protein, I just went to the carbs. So I will do, I have my 2 meals. So say at noontime, 1 o'clock, I make my first meal and it's protein. My plate, I've learned to shift my plate. My plate used to be carbs, a little bit of vegetables, a little bit of protein. Now it's switched. I switched it. It's vegetables, protein, and a little bit of carbs. I don't need the carbs, but I do know your body needs some carbs for energy, right? So I do get that. So I'm okay with a little bit, the best I can. I try to do just a little bit, and that's all right. So, but before I have my any meal, my 2 meals, I drink the second packet, which is the balance. Sorry, I got the wrong one, which is the balance. The balance is, and I'll go through it. It is a matrix fiber, and when I drink it, I should do less. I mix it in this little bottle here, 8 ounces. I shake it up, drink it, right? So that matrix fills my stomach, and it'll turn into it'll like expand, and I'll do a sample for you guys, but it'll expand and it like turns into like a gel, and so you drink it kind of quickly. You don't want to think about it. You don't want to gel in the cup. I mean, you could drink it gelled, but I don't think I'd want to. I just drink it quickly, get in my stomach, fills my stomach up, right? So now, I'm already, before I even start eating, I'm not going to eat as much, because I do mindful eating. I try to think about it before I eat, make sure, am I really hungry? Do I need more? Blah, blah, blah. So I put that in there, and that fiber will grab anything that I don't need, right? It'll wrap around the carbs, it'll wrap around whatever it is. It's like a gel, and I'll show it to you. And it'll take it out and shift it out. That's what it does to it. So that is the third thing that I do, right? So those are the 3 big things that I do, but like making sure you get enough sleep, make sure you drink enough water. Like, I know there's so many rules, but it's really not so bad when you start seeing the progress. You don't mind it at all, right? So it's you do the time restricted eating. So I make sure that's important. My exercising is important. My feel great system, which I am on it for life. I don't care. I love it. It gives me all the vitamins and minerals that I need, the fiber that I don't get in my diet. I don't think I could possibly eat enough in my diet to do what that fiber packet does. But anyway, so that was my first. That was right out the gate from the doctor's office. That's what I started to do, right? And the doctor said, because I didn't want the pills. I did not want to take the metformin and I think it was Trulicity. I didn't want to take that. I wanted to see if I could do it naturally, because when I came home, I did some research. I learned that diabetes is reversible in remission. You can go in remission. There's, any way you you can say any way you want, right? So you can say in remission, you can say reversible, you can say, get your glucose under control, your blood sugar under control, whatever you want to say. But I did it. I did that. So this was the picture. This is what I want to show you. I'm not proud of this picture at all, but here's my picture. This was, I think this was like the little bit before. Well, I wrote February 10th because that's when I brought it downstairs, but I put it on this thing. But this is before, right? So swollen, so much, just so inflamed with everything, right? And so just wrong, right? So that was before I started this process, before I started my journey, that's what I looked like. And I don't like her. I don't like her at all. I mean, you know, only thing that's good about her, about that was that it put some fire into my ass to get me out here to learn and teach others what I know, right? So I'm not a doctor. I am just a mom who got herself in an unhealthy situation, and I like to share my journey to help somebody else. Okay, so she was a mess. She was a hot mess, right? She had IBS, she had the swollen, the inflammation, the brain fog, the floaty things in the eyes, everything was wrong. Then, okay, so that was in June of last year. I went to the doctors, got the results, went back in October, right? My 3 months were up. I did, you can do 3 months in between blood works, right? So my 3 months were up, and I made the appointment. I went back we took my blood work. I went back to the doctor. And in that 90 days, 3 months, 90 days. I think it was a little over 90 days because of the way that the appointment fell, but I dropped my A1C 4 points. I went from 11.5 to a 7.3, 4 months. Dropped 26 pounds. My triglycerides were great, not all the way great, better. My cholesterol was better. All of my stuff, some were still in the red, wasn't 100%, but it was definitely on the right track, right? So in the first 3 months, I was able to drop it 4 points. And like I said, lot of great things happen. So then I told my doctor. Then the nurse came in, and the nurse said, "Okay, so do you you know how they read you, do your weight, your height, your blood pressure?" And she's reading off all of the different prescriptions that were on my chart. She said, "Do you take the metformin?" And I told her no. She said, "Did you take the Trulicity?" And I said no. She said, "Do you take any medications at all?" And I said, "No, I just take the Feel Great system. This is it." And it's not a medication, but I told her, because this is in the physician's reference guide. So a prescriber's reference guide, they can actually look it up. It is in the doctor's PDR. I think it's called prescriber's desk reference or digital reference. So they can look this up. And this is in there. So the doctors could give it to their patients if they wanted to. There isn't any money in it for them, so they probably won't, but they can if they want to, because it is in there and it shows. So you can look it up on any of them. So it's online too, the PDR. So it's pdr.net, and you can look up any prescriptions that you have, anybody anybody that has, and it'll tell you what's in each one. If it's got a black box warning, which is dangerous, it'll give you all that information. So you can look this up. So I told her that purposely because I know she can look it up. She just put her notes in, and she said, "Okay, bye, have a good day." The nurse doesn't care. So then my doctor comes in, and she opens up my chart, and she pulls up on the board my results, and she said, "Okay, so, looking at your results, can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure." She said, "It says here you're not taking any of your medication." And I said, "No." And I said, "No, I'm not." And she said, "Well, could you not afford it?" And I said, "No, that's not it. I just didn't pick it up. I wanted to do this naturally." She said, "Well, did your insurance not cover it?" And I said, "Again, I don't know. I never went to the store to pick it up. I never went to CVS. After you called it in, I never went to CVS to pick it up." That's all I could tell her. And so she said, "Well, I said, but look at my results." I was so excited to go over them with her. I said, "Well, look at my results. I'm not done yet, but in the first 90 days, I made a big jump, right? From 11.5 to a 7.3. That's a big jump. Lost some weight. Everything's getting better. It was 10 years or whatever it was, however many years it took for my body to get there. I'm already, halfway back." So she's very disappointed. And so I said, "Well, what I do is I tried telling her about the Feel Great system. I take these 2 packets, and it's a matrix. It's fiber. It's a Unimate tea." She did not talk about it. She didn't hear it. So I said, "Okay, so this is what I've done: exercise, and time restricted eating, and she didn't want to hear it. So now I realize that she doesn't want to talk about it. She goes, "Okay, well, I still think you should pick up the medication and start taking it." I said, "But why? I'm doing great. I'm so close. I want to get to a 5.7. I'm a 7.3. She goes, "Oh, no, no, no. You're a diabetic. Just get to 7." I said, "But I don't want to be a diabetic. I want to be a non-diabetic. So I'm going to get to 5.7 or below." And she said, "You're not going to do it." She said, "You're not going to do that." And I was like, what do you mean I'm not going to do that?" So, whatever. So then I realized that we're at a crossroads, right? My doctor believes that I need to be on medication. It's the only way to fix this, I believe. And I've proved to her that I don't need that, that I can do this without the medication, that I can do this in a better way. And I'm going to do it a better way, right? So, truth be told, she wasn't having it. So then the second thing, so then she said, okay, well, I said, "Well, look, this is the result." She goes, well, if it's true, you should still take the medication, whatever. So we moved on. And then I just said, okay. And I was frustrated when I left, and I did not pick up the medication. And anyway, so fast forward. So that was October. So fast forward, another 90 days, which it actually was a little bit more. It ended up being like 7 months, about 7 months instead of 6 months. By the time I went back for the next one, I went and did my blood work. Same thing as, kept up with the things that I was doing. Learned a little bit more on the way. This, that, and the other thing. And I went back, and sure enough, I went down to a 5.2. No longer a diabetic. I have reversed my diabetes. I am no longer diabetic. I'm in not diabetic range, but I do know I am in remission. And the reason why I say that is because it took me 7 to 8 months to bring it down that way. But if you eat terrible, it takes 20 days to bump me back up. It's all it takes is 20 days of not doing what you were doing to bump you back up to go back to be diabetic. So I don't want that at all. So I'm grateful that I know that. So I'm going to make sure not to do that. So I guess remission is the best way to say it, because I'm not in that range, but I could be very carefully. I could be back in that range if I'm not careful. And I don't want to. Like I said, I don't want to go back to her at all. I don't like that feeling, right? So that's what I do. I'm on my journey. I am in school right now. I'm going to be a certified nutritionist because I really want to help people. I want to share what I've done, my story. I'm very, this, it may not be you. It could be somebody somebody you love that has these symptoms. Remember what I told you, these symptoms are very common. And some of them you'll even be able to notice, even there'll be some that you'll even be able to notice on them, right? If you see somebody that has like swollen face. I'm sorry, I was going to get to my side. Like really like a swollen face. Like you told me, I saw my pictures, a swollen face, fatigue, and a lot of extra weight around the belly, cravings, the skin tags. Those are very obvious. Those are not an old person thing. Those are insulin resistance. It's your body's signs. The different color, the coloration in your skin. That's not just an old person dirty thing, whatever, but that's just your pigmentation in your skin. You can watch out for that, right? Adult acne, acid reflux, migraines, PCOS, may not be able to notice that, eczema. So there's a lot of things that you can, tie it by two, hands and feet. So it may not be you. It could be somebody that that has these symptoms. But please share my information with them, because I would love to help anybody I can. I want to share everything I've known, because two of those things are free that you can do, right? The exercising and the time restricted eating, those things are free, and they were so huge for me. This packet, this system that I'm doing, is not free, but it is cost effective, because I wish I could keep these on, but I hate the glare. I guess I might have to get contacts. So because I don't snack, right? Because I don't eat snacks and I don't eat my first meal. So this works out to be $5 a day. My two sachets. Well, I actually take three. I take two fibers and Unimate. You can do it either way, whatever you want to do, but it averages out to $5 a day, right? So if I'm not eating breakfast and I'm not eating snacks, which is way over $5 a day, right? When you run into Dunkin' Donuts or something and you're getting something, it's cost effective. I have never had to pick up the medication, so there's no medication. Pretty soon there won't be as many doctor visits, because I'm going to go back yearly, because I'm in a place. I'm in a place that I can do that. So anyway, so it's definitely cost effective. It's $5 a day, right? So there's a couple points I want to talk to you about the system, right? So the Unimate is the one that I drink. I start with my tea, right? So my Unimate tea is this one here that I drink. I mix it in the bigger bottle, the 17 ounces, 17 to 24 ounces, cost neutral, which I mentioned, because you don't snack, you don't eat your first meal of the day, Oh, and some people do it the other way around. They do have breakfast, they don't have dinner, but I like it this way because it keeps because I've already slept for most of that time. When I get up, it keeps my glucose down all day long and it makes a big difference in my body, right? It's a chlorogenic acid tea. It's 375 times more potent than the ones that you can buy in the store. Nothing wrong with the ones that you can buy in the store. The just one is just that much stronger, right? It's concentrated from a yerba mate plant, supports my mood and energy. Absolutely have energy that I've never had. It helps when I lost a lot of weight, right? So that helps. My body's not fighting off sugar, so a lot of it helps. Diet helps as well, but this helps with my mood, right? Steady focus, how many of will work. My energy is great. TRE, time restricted eating, it helps me with that. Keeps the food noise down. I'm not hungry. I can actually wait longer, right? Increases. Okay, so this is the one that I really like. Increases your body's production of its own GLP-1. I did not even know we had GLP-1 in our body. I thought that's just what people are buying. You get that, you use it, whatever, and it suppresses your hunger. I didn't know very much about it, but your body has its own non-synthetic GLP-1. And so this system, the Umamate, will bump it 60%. So then it's almost like, do you need those shots? I don't know. It helps my liver function. My liver, like I told you, was packed. My poor liver was packed with glucose because there was no place for it to go. So it helps my liver, right? Proven to shrink fat cells, which, it's a plant-based, it's all plant food. So it won't react with anything. There's no reaction whatsoever because it's plant-based. It's just food. That's all it is. It enhances muscle mass, and I can speak for that. My muscles are much stronger. I was able to get back to where I felt comfortable going to the gym more with it, right? Improves your HDL cholesterol 100%. My HDL cholesterol was a hot mess, and I'm so much better now. I'm very close. I think I'm at a 55. I got to double check the new results, right? Supports heart health, which we all could use, right? Regulates glucose and insulin resistance. So that's it. I am no longer insulin resistant, which is such a fun thing to say. It's such an honor to say that. Okay, so the balance, which is my fiber, my matrix fiber that I take before I eat my meals. I drink it before I eat my meals, fills my stomach up, right? And it gives those microbiomes all the food that they need so that when I do eat, my body is able to take it and get rid of it. It doesn't need to take it and push it out, right? Doesn't need to push it out into my bloodstream. Okay, so the balance is a matrix fiber, a 7-blend soluble and insoluble fiber. Slows carbs, avoids sugar spikes 100% because I only eat that. I try to avoid it, makes it much easier. Feel fuller longer, 100%. Plus, I focus on protein, which is a big thing. So once you focus on the protein and the vegetables and the carbs the last, you will be always hungry in between. Lowers post-meal glucose. Because like I told you, I was eating a lot of glucose, a lot of sugar, a lot of carbs, so it would shoot me up. But this will lower it after meals by 37%. And I want to keep it low. I want my body to grab what I have, eat it up, and get it out. Use what it has. Again, another plant-based fiber, so there isn't anything that it's going to react to medications or anything in it, because you can take this with medications because it's plant-based in hopes that it can help get you off your medication. So many friends on the system were able to get off the medications and everything like that. It's a probiotic, right? And it supports healthy cholesterol, which is always good. Reduces IBS. Literally got rid of my IBS. My IBS is gone probably a month, little less than a month, right? Let's see, makes you feel satiated. I feel full a lot longer. Supports bones and teeth health because when you're unhealthy, your teeth can really, take a beating. So it's really great. Regulates my blood sugar and lowers my LDL, which I think is fantastic. Boosts, I thought it's an LOL. I wrote my own writing. It boosts immunes, enhances insulin sensitivity, helps regulate blood sugar. So much it does, right? So it's an amazing thing. So the packets together, right, increase my cravings, got rid of my neuropathy, help with my mood, gives me a clear mind, better sleep. I sleep fantastic at night now. Go to bed, stay in bed. And I do my watch, so we'll talk about that sometimes, like the sleep, and I'll show you my results. Pretty fun. No joint pain, no medication. Inflammation is decreased. I don't have that swelling feeling in my knees and my feet too. All that's gone. My skin tags are gone. Pigmentation is gone. My GLP-1, I'm sure it's fine because I'm burning the fat that I have. I don't have allergies, obesity, and gout. So there's so much that this has to do with. So I really just want to share it with you because it has been a lifesaver for me. It's been an eye-opener, a lifesaver, a fantastic bridge to where I was, to where I want to go. It's done so many wonderful things for me. So this is why I want to share it. So I definitely want to share what I've done, the time restricted eating, which, isn't for everyone, but I needed my body to get it, use the glucose that I had. So that was the best way for me to do it. And then the muscle training, which, I have a lot to learn, a lot more to go. I'm not bikini ready for sure, but I do feel so much better that I probably will go to the beach. I will definitely go to the beach this year. I love the beach, but when you don't feel so good about yourself, you don't like to go. But at any rate, so I want to thank you for coming tonight. If you had a chance to join me, and if there is any questions that you have, please send me questions. I have my link tree on my homepage. I'll put it in the comments if this stays on YouTube. This is literally my first YouTube live, so I have no idea what's going to happen to it. If it stays there, I'll put my link tree, which will give you my email address, my phone number, more about the system. You can look up about the Feel Great system on there, and all that information. But I am super happy that I got got through my first live on YouTube, and I look forward to learning more and connecting with so many more of you guys. But I hope you have a great night, and thank you so much.